Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass. And as promised, we're going to get into Paul Vallely of the TPUSA board. We're going to cover the 7th Psychological Operations Group, which he was a part of. And we're going to get into his 31 years in the United States military and what he does now, as this all revolves around child sex trafficking, which my son is a victim of for 1,589 days, which is the entire premise of me creating Truth News and me making these videos and putting them out every day. So let's get into it. 7th Psychological Operations Group was organized in 1965. It is by the United States Army, and it specializes in influencing foreign populations to support U.S. objectives. Let me repeat that. They specialize in influencing foreign populations to support U.S. objectives. So influencers, influencing, sound familiar? Social media, these podcasters are influencers. And a foreign population, I believe, the United States government, with their agenda in the trafficking, has considered its own citizens who are against child sex trafficking to be a foreign population. And they are using psychological operations to try to mentally manipulate us and convince us that child sex trafficking is perfectly acceptable and we should get behind it and stop looking at it as pedophilia, which I'll get into later with Megyn Kelly and Nick Fuentes. So the 7 steps of the 7th Psychological Operations Group are planning, target, audience analysis. So let me repeat that. I want to get it right. Planning, and then they target, audience analysis, series development, approval, production, distribution, dissemination, and evaluation. So they plan, which means they pick an agenda, what they're going to push upon the American people, whether it be LGBTQ, whether it be supporting Israel, child sex trafficking, BLM. All of these are agendas, and these are plans. They put these together of how they're going to put this in place. This is the plan. We want this BLM movement to divide America. We want an LGBTQT movement to divide America. So that's the plan. Let's divide and break these people apart because of the old remedy, divide and conquer. So they target audience analysis. So your target audience, BLM, obviously, is going to be black people. LGBTQT, obviously, going to be the homosexual community. And we're going to get into the churches when they're infiltrating our churches with military people like Rob McCoy, Paul Vallely, both of TPUSA, Greg Laurie of the Harvest Church. He's involved in sexual scandals. We all know about T.D. Jakes, P. Diddy, Joel Osteen, all these mega churches and all these deceivers and disciples of Satan, as I would call them, because you don't use the word of God to conduct evil and say, come follow me. That is evil to a level that is unparalleled. So, series development. Think about that. Series development. That sounds like you're putting on a TV show, a series development. That is what they do in sitcoms, television shows, even documentaries. They do a series development. How are we going to put this together in a chronological order and structure the information to where it will fit our agenda and kind of ease people into it? You see, the old analogy is if you put a frog in a pan of water, room temperature, cold, whatever the case may be, it will stay there. And if you turn the heat up very slowly, as the temperature rises, the frog won't leave and it will stay there until it's boiled to death. But if you put a frog into a pan of boiling water, it will jump right out. So they're treating us like frogs, and they've kept us in this pan of water for all these years. And they have slowly turned the temperature up over years and years and years. And now the water is beginning to boil. And the smart people, Candace Owens, Baron Coleman, Mr. Lego, Coach Colin, a lot of podcasters are beginning to jump out of the pot. They know what's going on, and we're like, no, I'm not going to boil in this hot water. And a lot of what I call the sheeple, who are just blindly following this evil, are staying there. I don't understand it. So after they do series development, they get approval. How would you get approval for a series development? Well, in a sitcom or a television world, they call it a pilot. And what they do is they actually put it together, put it on video, and then they invite people in for a pilot. And everybody watches it and they give feedback. What do you think? Will it work? Do you think people will like it? Do you think they'll accept it? Is it what we want? And then they get production. So once you get approval, you start producing it in mass quantities. That's how you get a Nick Fuentes. That's how you get a Gary of Paramount Tactical. That's how you get Megyn Kelly's. That's how you get Sean Hannity's, Greg Gutfeld's. They start producing this propaganda, this content, pushing their agenda with the people they think we will accept because of how they dress, how they sound, how they look, target audiences. Think about that, target audiences. So you have Hannity for the older, Greg Gutfeld for the middle, and then you got Nick Fuentes for the younger. You see how they use different people for different audiences? So you want someone to appeal to the audience you're trying to reach. And when you're trying to reach audiences between 18 and 70 years old, one person is not going to be able to do that. One person, the 70-year-olds are not going to listen to a Nick Fuentes, to where the 18-year-olds are not going to listen to a Sean Hannity. So in order to push their agenda and their propaganda through this psychological operations, you can look all this stuff up. I've done my research. Again, here's my notes. They use different people for different audiences. So, and then they do evaluation. So once they start producing it, that's when you get polls. Everybody's familiar with polls, with Fox News polls, ABC polls, the AP poll, all these different polls. They start asking people, hey, what do you think of so-and-so? Do you accept that? What do you think on this topic? And what they're doing is when they're polling people, asking them about topics, what they're trying to figure out is how the information is being received. Is it being accepted? Do they need to change the narrative? Do they need to change the information? Do they need to change the delivery? How can we go about making these people accept our lies? That's what it boils down to. Excuse me. So, Paul Vallely, who's on TPUSA's board, 7th Psychological Operations Group, which I find somebody in PsyOps to be on a board of a supposed faith movement, that's just ridiculous to me. Paul Vallely founded the Center for Security Policy. Center for Security Policy. And that is a far-right, anti-Muslim, DC-based think tank. Now, a think tank is where a group of people get together from PsyOps, from corporate America, billionaires, whatever the case may be. People who think they are much smarter than they actually are. They all get together in a room and they think we're stupid. And they talk and figure out ways to convince us of what they want. If they want to child sex traffic children, they figure out ways to slowly condition us to accept it. And these think tanks put together not just 2-year and 3-year and 5-year plans. They put together plans spanning 15 and 20 years. They put together operations that last 15 and 20 years that are structured over a long period of time to condition people to what they want. They play the long game, ladies and gentlemen. These people aren't doing changes overnight. No. They're smarter than that. I give them credit for that one. They are smart enough to know that you can't make drastic changes in a day. You got to do it over years. And these people are putting together structures and formats to get their agenda, whatever the evil case may be. And it spans 15, 20 years. So, Army PsyOps, and you can Google all this, and I encourage you to, please. Use your brain. Please do some research, some homework, take some notes, read a book, exercise, do something good for yourself. Don't just sit on the couch, eat Doritos, and watch Fox News and ABC. That is the worst thing you can do for your mental and physical health. Please, people. So the Army PSYOPs are small autonomous teams using media and cultural understanding to shape perception. So they're using, this is straight from the Army PSYOPs website that I've looked up. They are small autonomous teams. Seems like I saw a small autonomous team around Charlie Kirk around the time he was assassinated. Using media and cultural understanding to shape perception. Seems like I see a lot of TPUSA stuff in the media. Amfest, Erica Kirk, all of this. I see a lot of that. Cultural understanding. We have a big Christian nation here. A lot of Christians in America. To shape perception. Seems like they're trying to convince us of things that they want us to believe and not what we see. Do you see this all coming together? It seems to be a pattern here. So, many people lie to shape perception for personal gain. I wrote that as a personal note, and I want you to think about it. I've had people do this in my life. My ex-wife was cheating on me and was trying to convince me I was crazy because I was seeing her come home late. I was watching her do different things before she went to work. I saw a shift in her behavior and her attitude, but I was crazy for saying I'm seeing things that are different and I want to know what's going on. That made me crazy. Yeah, does that sound familiar? When you start seeing changes in things around you and you point them out, as Candace Owens pointed out yesterday, the changes and little changes like the Fruit of the Loom logo with the cornucopia and Pikachu with the black spot on his tail. We see these little changes, and when we point them out, they're like, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. What they're actually trying to do is mentally manipulate you to control your perception. They want to see how much you will believe of them, how many lies they can get away with, and you will not question them. And then when you start questioning the lies, they push back by saying you're crazy. That's automatic. And I know everyone's had people do this in their life, whether it was someone around you that was drinking, using drugs, cheating on you, stealing from you, using you. They all lie and say, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. I would never do that. Everyone can relate to this. So what they do, and I want to talk about this. This is very important. I got this from Lionel Nation this morning. I was listening to him on my way to work. You see my hands are dirty. Working every day. Lionel Nation talked about words, and really, words are the foundation for everything. It's how we communicate. It's how information gets passed around. It's all through words, whether it be written word, spoken word, doesn't really matter. The word is the foundation for the entire premise of perception. So they take words like conspiracy. Everyone knows what a conspiracy is, a group of people planning to do something evil or nefarious. And they add words to it like theory, which means it's not a conspiracy, it's conspiracy theory, which means now you change the whole premise of conspiracy to being something that is untrue or can't be proven. Just by adding the word theory. Think about that. We know what a conspiracy is. We can see a conspiracy. There is a conspiracy to murder Charlie Kirk. That is blatantly obvious. Blatantly obvious. But when you point out the facts, hand signals, arm signals, the organized event, the planning for security, all of the nonsense, the interviews, the lies, all of the nonsense, they just throw the word theory at the end of conspiracy, and all of a sudden, you're a nut job. You're tinfoil hat. You need help. That's getting ridiculous. So another word they've played with, and I've noticed this, is virtue. Virtue is holding true to your core beliefs and right, honesty, and integrity all are virtues. Virtues are positive attributes of behavior or personalities. But they've added the word signaling on top of virtue. So now, when you're trying to be noble and honest and have integrity and ethics, they say you're virtue signaling, which means you're just imitating virtues. You don't really have virtues because they don't have virtues. So when you have virtues and they don't, they say, oh, he's just virtue signaling. It's not real. It's just a signal. It's fake. See, this is the psychological operations they are using, the wordplay, and how they're doing it across mass media platforms, how they have mouthpieces. Nick Fuentes, Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly, Mark Levine, Fox News, ABC, NBC, all of this mass media, all of these mainstream, Tim Pool, the podcasters, they all are pushing the same agenda. And they're doing it in different ways, but it's all the same premise. Wordplay to convince you to accept their evil agenda. So, the truth is called crazy, and anyone who speaks it. Now, I want you to think about Candace Owens, because she's been she's a target right now for so many people. And the truth she speaks, and she backs it up with text messages, documentation. She finds people, she does research, and they have called her crazy more times than I can count. And it's just because she speaks the truth. And this is what they've done to me. When I reported child sex trafficking of my son by State Judge Kelly Hansen, the first thing everybody said was, you're crazy. You're crazy. And I've heard that for more than 4 years. You're crazy. Despite all the evidence I have, despite all the homework research I've done, I'm still crazy because I tell the truth. Well, guess what? They called Jesus Christ crazy. They called John the Baptist crazy. And they called Paul the Apostle crazy. So they're putting me in good company, in my opinion, by calling me crazy. And I'm honored that they bestow that title upon me, which they gave to some of my role models, Jesus, John the Baptist, and Paul the Apostle. So thank you for that. Now, distractions, division, diversion to change focus and perception. Think about the social media world. Think about how quick stories change. We never get to the ending of a story. That's another reason they don't like Candace. She will not let go of this story on Charlie Kirk, TPUSA, Erica Kirk, because Charlie was her friend. And Charlie was a good human being. He might have been controversial to some people with what he said, and he might not have said it in a way that people liked it, but that's often how the truth is received. People don't like to hear the truth about themselves. Nobody does. Someone who's fat doesn't want to be called fat, but I'm sorry, you're fat. That's it. That's not my problem. You don't want to hear it, and that's fine. But it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to make your life better. Denial is no way to ever get anywhere in life. And the further you go in denial, the more chaotic your life gets. If you're a drug addict and you're in denial and you let that denial go on for years and years and years, your life is going to be in turmoil and in shambles. Whether you're a drug addict, an alcoholic, a thief, a sex addict, a pedophile. That's what's going on in this government right now with these Epstein files and this pedophile ring. It has been going on for so long, and everyone's been in denial that they're never going to get caught. No one's ever going to find out. It's okay to molest children. They've been in denial for so long that now it's all coming out, and it's ruining lives. They don't want to accept it. They don't believe this is really happening. But ladies and gentlemen, this is really happening. The world's largest pedophile ring is in the United States government. Everybody knows it. And they are struggling to avoid accountability for it. But there's no way to get out of it. There's no way. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what job title you have. Everyone is held accountable, whether it be by we the people or by God. There's two things I have learned in life. Nobody gets away with anything, and nobody gets out of life alive. That are guarantees. So the distractions, the division, the diversion, how many times have you heard them change the topic? Diversion tactics. But you, and what about that? And that, and they keep trying to change the channel in your mind to get you off the course. It's like, oh, look over there. What's that? And you're trying to say, hey, I want to know where you were at this time. Well, did you see that movie? Did you see that movie? This is a diversion tactic. And this is what they're doing. All of these Venezuela wars and Greenland and all of this nonsense, even ICE and all of this stuff, diversion, distraction, division. They are dividing the country, red, blue, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, straight, gay, black, white, rich, poor. How many times can we be divided in this country? And I'm going to tell you, I don't care what anyone does with their life. It is your life. You have free will and you are free to choose whatever you want to do. And that's fine. But I don't want to change my life for how you live your life. I believe in God. I'm an American. I believe in the Constitution. And I believe I have rights. The right to freedom of speech, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I believe those rights are guaranteed to me as an American. And that's my premise for the entire structure of this show, the stories I do, all the research I do, is because I'm sick of all of this division. Where are just the Americans who just want to go to work, live a decent life, have families, and live in a functioning society of respect, kindness, and love? What's wrong with that? Why does everyone have to hate each other? Why do we have to be broken down into straight, gay, rich, poor, black, white, illegal, legal immigrant? All of this nonsense. I'm over it. I'm sick of it. We need to get back to basics, back to the truth, back to reality. And I'm going to touch on reality in just a second. So, perception controls populations. Perception controls populations. I want you to think about the Holocaust, the Jews, and how a whole country's perception was steered to accept mass murder. Think about that. And that's what our government is trying to do to our country right now. They're trying to steer our perception, control our perception, so they can get away with human trafficking and child sex trafficking. Because these camps, what's going on in these immigration camps, they are human trafficking. They are sending these people to Africa and different countries for slave labor. They're calling it mass deportations. They are putting all these fancy words on it, but it is a human slavery organization. It is a child sex trafficking organization operated by the United States government, who are elected and paid for by us to serve us. And they are not doing that. So don't let them control your perception. Don't let them tell you what's real and what's fake. Don't let them tell you what's a truth and what's a lie. And I'm going to get into the truth and discernment and intuition, which you are born with. Everyone has it. And I'll get into that. And I'm going to talk about perception. People think in pictures. If I say the word elephant, you do not see the word elephant. You see the picture elephant. You see an elephant as an animal. If I say the word red or blue, you see red or blue in your head. You don't see the words. So knowing this information, people think in pictures. You can paint a picture with your words inside of people's heads. And that is what they're trying to do with this mass media, social media, all the Fed paid podcasters, all the propaganda. They are trying to use your brain as a canvas, and they are using their evil words to paint pictures that you should not accept. You should not accept child sex trafficking. You should not accept corruption. You should not accept murdering people by federal agents in U.S. cities, on U.S. streets, as acceptable behavior. Murder by the federal government of U.S. citizens is not acceptable. I don't care what words you try to use and how many times you pump it across the mainstream media. To me, unacceptable, never will be acceptable, and you cannot convince me otherwise. If you were in a relationship with a man or a woman, whatever you prefer, and they were trying to convince you that it's okay for them to sleep around, use all of your money, and just come there and see you whenever they felt like it, and when they come and see you, you should give them whatever you want and be grateful for it, would you stay in a relationship with someone like that? No, you wouldn't. Not if you have any self-respect. No, you wouldn't. And that's what these people are trying to convince us. We should allow them to treat us however they see fit, and we should just be grateful. I don't think so. I'm not doing it. So we're going to get back on the PSYOPs because I said I would cover Paul Vallely today. Vallely, however you say his name. And I want you to think about these PSYOPs, these PSYOP pastors. Rob McCoy working with Paul Vallely, preaching propaganda, mental manipulation. They're all on TPUSA. And I want you to think about how many churches are being used right now by evil people. The T.D. Jakes, the Joel Osteens, TPUSA, military in our churches. How many? Frank Turek, military. Erica Kirk, these people have military backgrounds. Frank Turek, Erica Kirk, Paul Vallely, Rob McCoy. All of these people have military backgrounds. And they're in churches trying to preach the word of God. Think about that for a minute. Does that sound like somebody you want to listen to when it comes to the gospel? When it comes to the truth in the Bible? I don't need to go to a building to believe in God. I don't need someone to tell me what's in this book. I can read, I can comprehend for myself. My brain works just fine. I make sure of it. I read every day. I exercise every day. I eat healthy. I don't do drugs or alcohol. I don't need anyone to tell me how to read this book and how to practice what's in that book. And I don't understand why so many people are going to these mega churches, going to these demonic demons who are standing in a pulpit preaching about evil and using the word of God to cover for it. Remember what the Bible says, many will come in my name, but do not be deceived. And we're going to close with a Bible verse tonight. So I think, and I was going to say this is my opinion, but it's not. It's the truth. A lot of people in our government and in our media and in corporate America have had a psychological break. And what I mean by psychological break is over time, their power, their control, and their money has caused them to lose touch with reality. That's what a psychological break is. I looked up the definition. A psychological break is where you lose touch with reality. And that is what's going on from the White House to Congress to federal intelligence agencies to corporate America, these Mark Zuckerbergs, these Jeff Bezos, these Elon Musks, Fox News, these multi-millionaire newscasters, Sean Hannity, $45 million a year, Jesse Waters, $10-12 million a year, Greg Gutfeld, all of these people, these multi-millionaires have genuinely had a psychological break and they have lost touch with reality, and they want us to just accept whatever they say as if there's some type of ruler or some type of genius or some type of deity, and they are scumbags. They're trash. I don't care how much money you have, and I don't care what your job title is. I'm not going to just give someone my fealty, my respect, my fealty. I'm not going to give them that, my loyalty. No, you earn that with me. I don't care who you are, what you do for money, how much money you have, where you work. None of that matters to me. We are all equal. All men are created equal. And I believe that. I do. And I don't care. And these people are trying to say I'm a millionaire and you don't have money, so I'm smarter than you. No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm a millionaire and you don't have money, so I'm better than you. No, you're not. I'm sorry. No, you're not. So, and I encourage everyone to stop putting yourself beneath these people. You are not. No one is beneath anyone. No one. We are all under God. If you want to be under anyone, I am under God. And that's who I serve. I don't care about anyone here. So Paul Vallely, we're going to go back to what he does. And he's 31-year military, 7th Psychological Operations of the U.S. Army, on the board of TPUSA, operates a rug company selling rugs in the UK and Ireland. It's called Cocoon Rugs, Kukoon. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what is a 31-year retired military from the 7th Psychological Operations Group who's on the board of TPUSA, a multi-million-dollar organization? Why is he selling rugs in the UK and Ireland? Maybe these are children he's selling. As a front, he uses rugs, kind of like Pizzagate. You order a pizza a certain way and you get a child. I mean, this isn't, now we're going to steer from the truth because I tell you the truth, but I'm going to interject my opinion here. That would be like Nate at Valhalla selling curtains. Do you see a 20-year Green Beret Army veteran getting out of the military as a Green Beret and selling curtains? Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense for a 31-year military veteran on the board of a multi-million-dollar organization to be selling rugs in the UK and Ireland? I do believe Paul Vallely is selling children under the guise of Cocoon Rugs, because we know what our military does when it comes to human trafficking and child sex trafficking. It's documented in Korea. It's documented in Romania. Erica Kirk, Romanian Angels, Sun Myung Moon in Korea, and how Korea was trafficking to military bases, and how military bases operate basically under their own law. They do whatever they want. Once you're on a military base, the rules are off limits. You're in the world of the military. They decide what the laws are. They decide what the rules are. So we're going to get to now intuition and discernment. And the Bible talks about this. Candace Owens spoke on this yesterday. She said she has spiritual discernment. And spiritual discernment or intuition is basically, you can feel someone's energy. You can feel when someone's sad, angry, depressed, hurt. You don't need an announcement. For instance, if you walk into a room and someone has passed away, are you going to walk into that room and everyone in the room is aware that someone passed away and you're not? Are you going to walk into that room as if nothing ever happened? You have no clue what's going on? Or are you going to be able to read the room, as they call it? How many times have you heard that statement? Learn to read the room. You can tell without being announced or told that someone has passed away. You can tell when someone around you is angry or having a bad day. How come everybody in relationships are always like, "What's wrong, baby? Are you okay?" Why do you ask someone, and how many times they say, "I'm fine, I'm fine"? No, you're not fine. People know when something's wrong. People can tell. You can sense energy. There are some people who have empathy. I know a lot of people in this world right now are just godless, soulless bags of flesh who cannot have empathy and maybe don't have intuition and discernment because they are dead inside. They're empty. They're hollow. And they think we take everything at face or word value. But that's not true. That is not true. Most Americans have souls. They have spirits. They can sense things around them. And that is what intuition and discernment are. And in order to find any truth in this world, because everyone lies, let's be honest, everyone lies. You've lied to your parents. You've lied to your spouse. You've lied to your boss. Don't make a habit of it. Try not to. Jordan Peterson says, I admire Jordan Peterson. I listened to him for years. Jordan Peterson instilled it into my head. If you can't tell the truth, at least don't lie. And it took me a few months to understand. I listened to that repeatedly, and I was like, well, if I can't tell the truth, how do I not lie? And what he means is just, it's better to, if you can't tell the truth about something, it's better to just not say anything than to make up something false and just outright lie about it. So if you can't tell the truth, at least don't lie. And we're going to get into what lies will do to you psychologically, where they take you. You know, life is accumulating. The more you do anything, the greater impact it has on your life. 1 beer a day doesn't sound like a big deal. I drink 1 beer a day. Do that over 5 years. See where your mental and physical health are. You know, 1 piece of cake a day doesn't sound like much. It's 1 piece of cake. Eat 1 piece of cake every day for 5 years. See what happens. You're going to have an impact. I guarantee it. So I'm going a little long tonight. I try to keep these in under 30. We're at 36 minutes. So I've already touched on the military background and the child sex trafficking with Korea, with Romania. And the truth is, our military, this is the truth. The United States military are running psyops to child sex traffic globally. That's the truth. And the mainstream media is implicated. The United States government are implicated. This is one collective whole satanic group of child sex traffickers being conducted with psychological operations, military precision, with the approval of the United States government, and the mainstream media is covering it up. We used to report on stories. Do you remember that? This is so-and-so. I'm reporting on the story. Do you notice how they've changed the word now? They cover the story. Have you noticed that? Think about that. No longer do we report the news. We cover the news. Maybe because they cover everything up. So this is what I'm seeing as a U.S. citizen right now. The leaders of the crowd have gone crazy, and they want the crowd to go with them. I'm not going. I'm not going nuts with these people. I'm not going to listen to somebody try to tell me that pedophilia is okay. I'm not going to listen to somebody that tells me I should take a bunch of prescription pills and maybe I should just watch porn and eat crap food. I'm not doing that. I don't care. I don't care if everyone in this country eats a bag of Doritos every day, smokes crack, and watches porn. I'm not doing it, and I'm telling you, don't do it either. Take your independence back. Take your individuality back. Take your mind back from these people who are mentally abusing you. Now, Nick Fuentes, I just saw this today on Candace Owens. Nick Fuentes is trying to basically say it's not about the victims of Epstein. It's not about pedophilia. Children being raped by grown men who are rich and powerful and public servants of we the people is not about pedophilia. Now that brought me back to Megyn Kelly saying that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't really a pedophile because these girls were 15 years old. She called it barely legal. It's not legal. 18 is legal. Anything under 18, you're a pedophile, especially as a 40, 50, 60-year-old man. If you're sleeping with a 16-year-old girl as a 60-year-old man, you are a pedophile. There's no changing that. There's no way around that. That is sick. That is evil. That you even look at children and become sexually attracted. That is sick. So, and we're gonna go on to that. The government, do you remember when they wanted to change pedophilia to minor attracted persons? Google that one if you're not familiar with it. The United States government actually wanted to change the term pedophilia to minor attracted persons and make it legal. And they are now trying to lower the age of consent to 14, I believe. 14, they're trying to say at 14, you can have sex with grown adults. No, That is unacceptable. That is evil. That is wrong. I don't care who you are. And now that I've gone 40 minutes, we've gone a little long tonight. I had a lot of information. We're going to close with our Bible verse. It's going to be Matthew 7:6. And this is a very important verse, and I want you to pay attention. Let me find it here. Matthew 7:6 right here. Do not give what is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, or they will trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Do you understand what that is? You ever heard a pearl of truth? There's a pearl of truth in that. Don't give the truth to demons, lest they will trample it under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Does that sound familiar? Is that what's happening to Candace Owens, Baron Coleman, other podcasters, anyone who tells the truth? Are people trampling the truth under their feet and then turning and tearing apart the people who are telling it to them? This is why I read the Bible every day. You point out anything in the Bible that you don't think is true, and you email me at truth.news@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to go over it with you. I have a John MacArthur Study Bible, which is a very, very in-depth Bible. As you can see, it's got the Bible verses here, but John MacArthur explains everything down here. So if you really are having trouble comprehending the Bible, understanding the Bible, get yourself a John MacArthur Study Bible. It will help you convert the information to where you can digest it and understand it. So I know this was a long one tonight. I thank you for tuning in. Please ask that you like, share, subscribe to my channel. I just started, and I'm going to keep making these videos every day. And we're at day 1,589 of my son being child sex trafficked by the United States government. And the United States government denies child sex trafficking. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.